Hey YouTube family, happy Tuesday. It's Sarah, Less of Sarah, here this week with a Tough Love Tuesday post. I know I did a little, preview in my last video of what today's Tough Love Tuesday was going to be about. And I also did a little disclaimer, and I kind of want to repeat that just for anyone who might have missed that video. The idea behind Tough Love Tuesday was to be a support for people without it being a one-on-one sort of situation, because I wouldn't want people to feel, attacked by anything. And this isn't about trying to make people feel bad about how they're doing their journey or anything like that. It's really meant to be supportive, just in maybe a slightly different way than we tend to support people. This isn't a pat on the back to tell you how good you're doing. This is a kick in the ass to make you, look at your journey and see where you can do better. And I'm making these videos as much for me as I am for you guys, because honestly, I am not immune to needing a kick in the ass for sure. So this is, I just wanted people to know it's not meant to be mean-spirited. It's meant to be supportive. And I know that no matter what, and all of my videos are like this to some degree, I mean, whenever I talk about a topic that's controversial, there's going to be people who don't like it, and I'm okay with that. Because I know that there are people that are going to be helped in one way or another. So that's the whole point of Tough Love Tuesday. So I'm going to get right into it. I actually don't really have notes today, so this might be a little all over the place, but I just sort of wanted to speak from the heart about this. In my first Tough Love Tuesday video, which was about protein, water, and vitamins, and I may put a link below to that video as well, I believe I actually talked about this quote. This was something that I saw on Facebook that VS Tanya had posted, and it was a quote about committing to change. And the quote is, "Too many people want to change without having to make changes. In order to move up, there's some things you must be willing to give up." And that quote really hit home for me, because I know that I have certainly seen, in the community, people who I feel like have had surgery but aren't willing to make some of the changes that they need to. And beyond that, I think that we all have certain things that are very difficult for us to change. So, 90% of what we do might be great, but there are those few things that are very difficult for us to give up, or to change at least. For me, I've never been good at taking pills. I've never been good at taking vitamins, any of that stuff. And I don't know why I magically thought that was going to change after surgery, but it hasn't. I struggled a lot with taking vitamins for a while and that sort of thing. And I'm back on track with that, and I gave myself a kick in the ass about that. But I realized, as many changes as I've made, you have to be diligent about everything. And certain things I'm unwilling to change, and maybe I can make them work for me. A good example is eating at night. I think most people would say, most nutritionists or surgeons would tell you shouldn't eat after a certain time of night, maybe it's 7, 8 o'clock. The fact is that I frequently have a snack. Sorry, my nose is running as usual. I frequently have a snack at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 11:30. It's usually going to be something small. It may just be a protein shake. It may be yogurt. I don't usually eat a whole meal. But because I stay up late, I have always been used to eating at that time. And maybe that's still a bad habit. Maybe that's something I need to be willing to give up. Of course, I can make excuses and justifications as to why I need to do it, or I want to do it, or it's fine, or whatever. And I can say, well, look, I've lost 180 pounds so far, so obviously it's fine. But that's not really what it's about. And I think that some of us who are successful fall into a trap of saying, but look at me, I've lost X number of pounds, or I've lost so much in this much time, I must be doing everything right. And that's just not true. We all benefit from the honeymoon period of our weight loss, when you can do all kinds of, pardon my French, dumbass things and still lose weight. But how much weight could you have lost if you weren't doing those things? So I think that we justify things to ourselves and we make excuses. And that's something that I've been thinking about a lot, is looking at what I'm doing and really trying to figure out whether it's something that I can live with moving forward, or if I'm just making an excuse for why I'm doing it because I don't want to give it up or because I don't want to change. I know that I feel sadness, to be honest, when I see people who have had surgery and have gone through so much and then seem unwilling to change certain habits to make themselves successful. And I know that, you know, bad habits don't necessarily mean that you aren't going to have a successful weight loss journey, but weight loss is such a small part of this journey. And I know that that sounds really, really strange to say, but I've learned in the time that I've been on YouTube and watching people that weight loss is really just the first phase of this, but the most important and the biggest challenge is maintenance. You're only going to be in the weight loss phase for a certain amount of time. I mean, probably 6 months to maybe 18 months. And after that, you're going to be in maintenance. And again, I'm not going to say that it's necessarily harder in maintenance, but I think it's much more challenging in a number of different ways. And one of them is that your tool is not going to work like it used to. It's still going to work, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't work like it used to. And you have to deal with some of those old demons, and you're going to deal with some of those old habits that want to come back. And if you haven't made new ones to replace the old ones, it's going to be that much harder. And that's the magic, I guess, I hate using that word, but of surgery, is that it's like a reset. It gives you time to push aside some of those things that challenged you before. Like for me, it was extreme hunger, to push that aside and say, okay, listen, if I don't have to deal with that for a little while, what can I do now to make changes without that, you know, monkey on my back? It's going to come back. For me, my hunger has come back. It's nothing like it used to be yet. But honestly, I'm not counting on the fact that it won't go back to the way it used to be, because anything's possible. So my focus is really about changing my lifestyle and making those good habits stick now, so that when those old habits try and creep back in, I have a go-to, I have a plan, I have my basics in place. So when I see people who are earlier out and seem to be struggling with trying to make those changes, I get concerned for them, to be honest, because I wonder what will happen when you still have those bad habits. And I guess I need to give some examples, but I'm talking about things like eating something specific every day. Or people who will say, I need to have a treat every day or every, you know, whatever it is. And again, I'm not saying that having a treat, whatever that might be, is a terrible thing. It's so little about what the food is for me, and it's about the mental aspect of it. So, to be totally honest, if you're like, I have to have a treat every day, whether it's I don't know, sugar-free chocolate or sugar-free candy or, I don't know, an ice cream cone. It's actually less about what the food is. It's more about the habit of having to have it every day. And about being honest with yourself about why you have to have it. Okay? And again, that's one example of, you know, one of those behaviors. It can be lots of things. But running with I have to have this every day. Why do you have to have it every day? That's not for me to answer for you, right? That's for you to answer for yourself and for you to decide whether it's worthwhile or whether it is an actual justification or whether you're making an excuse. I'll give you some of the things that I have heard. Okay, I've heard, I have this every day and it makes me feel normal. Oh man, I cringe when I hear that. It makes me feel normal. You're not normal. We are not normal. If we were normal, we would not have had to have weight loss surgery. We would not have been obese, morbidly obese, super morbidly obese like I was. We're not normal. We're not going to be normal. We will never be normal. And I honestly believe, and again, this might be controversial, but you have to get the idea of being normal out of your head, because it's a trap. You can say, I'd like to have a lifestyle that's closer to, normal. But what is normal anyway? I mean, there's lots of people you probably see on the street and think are normal and have no idea what their eating behaviors are like or what their health is like. This journey isn't about being normal. It's about being healthy. What would a healthy person do? Not what would a normal person do, because it's really a meaningless word. When people say, I'm doing this because it makes me feel normal, I think that's just an excuse to justify to yourself why you want to let yourself do something that's going to get you off track. What's more important to you? Feeling normal or being healthy? Okay? I deserve it. I have lost X number of pounds. I have worked hard. I went to the gym. I deserve this. I deserve it is literally one of the scariest things I think you can say on a weight loss journey. Again, it's not just the statement, it's the mentality behind it. I am going to reward myself with food. It sounds kind of ridiculous when you think about it, because it's like saying, again, I've used the alcoholic or the smoker sort of analogy before, but it's like saying, well, now that I've been sober for 3 months, I deserve to have a drink. If an alcoholic said that to you, you would probably want to slap them in the mouth. You would say, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And yet, and I know that we're not all food addicts, okay? You know that that's how I feel. But the idea of someone who is on a weight loss journey rewarding themselves with food doesn't make sense, okay? And I understand the idea behind it, and I've thought it myself, okay? I'm not exempt. I've thought it myself. But I always try and catch myself and go, okay, this isn't a reward. This is a choice. If I'm going to have this off-plan food or whatever it is, I'm just making a choice to have it. I'm not rewarding myself for how far I've come. And when you really think about it, and I've heard other people say this too, they've bought something as a reward and then never eaten it, because they realize, well, if I've, bought this chocolate cake or whatever, I don't know, to eat when I've lost 100 pounds, it doesn't make sense. It's like when you get there, you don't want it, because you don't want anything to derail you from your journey. I guess for me, this is, again, it's not about the individual choice that you're making. It's about the justification and excuses part of it, and the being willing to change. This is my challenge, okay? Look at your food intake. Look at the things that you're eating. Look at where you are right now. Whether you are early out, whether you are 6 months out, whether you are 2 years out. Look at the choices you're making and see where you might be making excuses or justifications to yourself about why you should or shouldn't eat something, or you should have it or you shouldn't have it. And then really look inwardly and decide whether it's worth it to you. Okay, this isn't about telling people that they shouldn't have treats or that they shouldn't eat specific things. It's just about asking you to reflect on the choices that you make and whether they're really worth it. Whether you've really made the changes that you need to make yourself successful, or whether there's something standing in the way of you making those ultimate changes that are going to really kick your journey into high gear and really allow you to maintain 5, 10, 15, 50 years down the road. Okay, this is a lifetime journey. This isn't just right now. Weight loss and maintenance are two very different things. And when you're trying to lose the weight, there are certain things that you may decide they just aren't worth it. And the reasons that you thought you should eat them, or you thought you should do them, or shouldn't do this, or whatever it is, they're just that. They're just excuses. There is always a way to justify and excuse every behavior out there. And you are the only person who can decide whether your justification is valid or whether you're making an excuse to make yourself feel better, to make things easier, whether you're still tied to emotion about food rather than logic. So I hope that was helpful to someone. I hope that we all take a chance to reflect on our journey and see where we can improve. Ultimately, that's going to help us all be successful. So I will catch you guys on Friday. Have a great day.